Hello everyone, welcome to Aspirants World. Today we are going to learn about the Indian missiles. As we know, the India is very famous for developing many categories of missiles like the surface to air missiles, air to air missiles, and some are submarine missiles. So in this way, India is very famous for its unique missiles. In this video, in few minutes, we are going to learn what are the categories of missiles we have and the list of Indian missiles altogether and what is the difference between one category of missiles to another category of missiles. So let's quickly get started. The ballistic missiles. The first category we are going to discuss is the ballistic missile. A ballistic missile follows a ballistic trajectory to deliver one or more warheads on predetermined target. So the ballistic missile is basically it follows some trajectory path to hit the predetermined target. A ballistic trajectory is the path of an object that is launched but has no active propulsion during its actual flight. That means these weapons are guided only during relative brief period of flight and it has some path to follow, but during this path it has no active propulsion. So that is the importance of these ballistic missiles. And if we see, consequently the trajectory is fully determined by a given inertial velocity and this trajectory path is affected by the gravity and the air resistance and motion of the earth, that is the Coriolis force. So the ballistic missiles are basically gets affected by this external forces, that is the gravity, air resistance and the Coriolis force. And the short range ballistic missiles stay within the earth's atmosphere, but if we see the long ranged intercontinental ballistic missiles are launched on a suborbital flight trajectory, that is it spend most of their flight out of the atmosphere. That means in the category wise the short range is used within the earth atmosphere, but the longer range are used as a intercontinental ballistic missiles so that they have their flight even out of the atmosphere. So in this way we have the ballistic missiles category. Let's see the types of ballistic missiles based on the range. If we see, there are short range, those are referred as tactical ballistic missiles or the short range ballistic missiles. The short range ballistic missiles, the range is in between of 300 kilometers to 1000 kilometers. But on the other hand, the medium range ballistic missiles are in between of having the 1000 kilometers to 3500 kilometers target range, and the intermediate range ballistic missiles, which are also referred as long range ballistic missiles, they are having in between of 3500 to 5500 kilometers range, and the intercontinental ballistic missiles, they are having the 5500 kilometers above range target. So in this way we have the different categories of ballistic missiles. Some are short range, some are medium range, some are intermediate range, some are intercontinental ballistic missiles. Based on their targeted range, these are referred as short range, medium range, long range and the intercontinental ballistic missiles. Moving further, what is the other category of missiles? That is the cruise missile. Till now we have seen the ballistic missile category, but another important category is cruise missile. It is actually a guided missile, that is the target has to be preset and it is used against the terrestrial targets, and it remains in the atmosphere throughout the flight, and it flies the major portion of its flight path at an approximately constant speed. That means it is not having much of effect of gravity or air pressure or the Coriolis force, unlike the ballistic missile. The cruise missiles are designed to deliver a large warhead over long distance with high precision. And modern cruise missiles are capable of traveling at supersonic and high subsonic speeds, and they are self-navigating and are able to fly on non-ballistic extremely low altitude trajectory. And what is this mean by the supersonic, the subsonic categories? Under the cruise missiles, based on its speed, there are different categories of missiles. Some are hypersonic. What is mean by this hypersonic? These missiles would travel at least 5 times the speed of the sound. So they travel more than the 5 times the speed of sound. That's why they are famously referred as Mach 5. They are referred as hypersonic missiles. The BrahMos 2 category is one of the best example for that. And the supersonic category is in between of Mach 2 to 3. That means these missiles travel faster than the speed of the sound, that is 2 to 3 times more than the speed of the sound. So the example is BrahMos category. And subsonic on the other hand, they are actually Mach number 0.8. Whenever you see it is a 0.8, it indicates these missiles travel slower than the speed of the sound. The best example of this category is Nirbhay. So this is one of the important missile under the subsonic category. So in this way, based on its speed and with the comparison of the speed of the sound, we categorize the cruise missiles into hypersonic, supersonic and subsonic missiles. After that, if we compare the difference between the ballistic missiles and the cruise missiles here, many of the question papers touch this type of questions. What is the differences between ballistic missiles and cruise missiles? It is propelled only for a brief duration after the launch. That means its propulsion time is very short duration time. They don't have the capacity of self-propulsion. They don't have the self-propulsion capacity. But on the other hand, cruise missiles are self-propelled and they have the long range of duration till they end its flight and hit the target. So it is similar like a rocket engine. If we see the ballistic missile, it is similar like a rocket engine, but the cruise missiles on the other hand is similar to a jet engine. And the long range missiles leave the Earth's atmosphere and re-enter it. But the cruise missiles on the other hand, their flight path is within the Earth's atmosphere. That means the ballistic missiles, the long range, if we see the long range missiles, they even enter into the out of the atmosphere area. But the cruise missiles are actually targets the only within the Earth's atmosphere. And low precision as it unguided for most of its path and its trajectory depend on the gravity, air resistance and the Coriolis force as we discussed earlier. And it hits the target with high precision and it is constantly propelled. That means it doesn't have the much of the effect of external forces, but the ballistic missile has that problem. And it can have a very long range, that is in between of 300 kilometer to 12,000 kilometer path range, and as there is no fuel requirement after its initial trajectory. But if we see the cruise missiles, the range is very small. It has the capacity of below 500 kilometer because it need to be constantly propelled to hit the target with high precision. That's why its target range is very less, that is less than 500 kilometer. This is very important. And the ballistic missiles have heavy payload carrying capacity. Compared to the ballistic missiles, the payload capacity of cruise missiles is limited. And it can carry multiple payloads, that is multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. But the cruise missiles carries only the single payloads. The ballistic missiles, it developed primarily to carry nuclear warheads. but the cruise missiles were developed primarily to carry conventional warheads. So the ballistic missile, you have the disadvantages like it doesn't has the self propulsion, and mostly it is having the effects of the gravity, air resistance and the Coriolis force. That is actually the problem of the ballistic missiles. But compared to the cruise missiles, if we take the advantage of ballistic missiles, it is actually a long range missile, and it has the power even to target the out of the atmosphere targets also. And it is a long range power, that is nearly 300 kilometers to 12,000 kilometers capacity, and it can have the heavy payload capacity also, and it can carry multiple payloads. And all these are the advantages we see compared to the cruise missiles category. So it is very important to see the difference of ballistic and cruise missiles and to know this one for the exam point of view. And if we see the notable missile systems in India, so we have the different type of missiles. It is very important to know which type of missile is that. So if we see what type of the missile categories are these, the first one is the Astra. Astra is basically air to air missile category, and it is very important to know in the exam point of view the type of the missiles. This is the air to air missiles, and its range is 80 kilometers. Majority of the papers even ask the range also, so this table must be remembered. And the other category is Trishul. The Trishul is surface to air missile, and its range is 9 kilometers. And Akash, it is the surface to air missile. It is surface to air missile, and its range is 30 kilometers. And the Prithvi, this is surface to surface missile. The Prithvi is surface to surface missile, and its range is 2000 kilometers. And the Nag, it is surface to surface anti-tank missile. This is very important. The Nag is a surface to surface anti-tank missile category, and its range is nearly 4 kilometers. And the Prahar, it is surface to surface category, and it is a short range ballistic missile category. It is a ballistic missile category, and its range is 150 kilometers. And the BrahMos, it is very famous, and it has the capacity to target the land, the naval and even the air targets, and it is a supersonic cruise missile. It is very important. The BrahMos is a supersonic cruise missile, and its range is 300 kilometers. And along with that, there are other missiles like the Nirbhay. The Nirbhay is also having the same type of capacity of targeting the land, the naval and the air type of the targets, and it is a subsonic cruise missile. BrahMos is a supersonic cruise missile, and Nirbhay is a subsonic cruise missile, and its target is 1000 kilometers. So these two are very important, and these were asked in the previous examinations also. The Nirbhay is the subsonic cruise missile, and the BrahMos is the supersonic cruise missile. And the K-15, which is famously referred as Sagarika. In some of the papers they ask the K-15 is referred as, it is the Sagarika, and it is a underwater to surface. The name itself says it is a Sagarika. It is an underwater to surface type of missile, and it is a basically the short range ballistic missile, and its target range is nearly 700 kilometers. Dhanush is a sea to sea or the sea to surface missile, and it is also short range ballistic missile, and its target is 350 kilometers. And we have Shaurya missile. It is also surface to surface category, and its range is 1900 kilometers range. So out of that we have to remember the Nag is very important, and the Astra is also very important, the Nirbhay, Sagarika. These are very important missiles. And there are submarine launched ballistic missiles also. What are these submarine launched ballistic missiles? First one is Astra. Astra is beyond visual range. This is actually beyond visual range category, air to air missile, This is the air-to-air missile category, and in terms of size and weight, Astra is the smallest missile developed by the DRDO. It is the very smallest missile developed by the DRDO, and it was envisaged to intercept and destroy the enemy aircraft at supersonic speeds. We have discussed what is meant by supersonic. So it targets the enemy aircraft at the supersonic speed. So remember, Astra is actually beyond visual range, and it is the air-to-air missile category, and Astra is the smallest missile developed by the DRDO, and it is a supersonic ballistic missile. And the next one is Trishul. Trishul used as a anti-sea skimmer to fly low to avoid the radar. So this is very important. The Trishul fly very low to avoid the radar power, and it is referred as anti-sea skimmer, and from ships against the low flying attacks. So the Trishul is basically used for the low flying attacks. And Akash, on the other hand, it is the capacity to neutralize the aerial targets like fighter jets, the cruise missiles, and air-to-surface missiles, as well as ballistic missiles. So the Akash is having the very special character. So it targets the fighter jets, the cruise missiles, air-to-surface missiles, all the categories. And the PAD, it is nothing but the Prithvi category. It is the anti-ballistic missiles developed to intercept incoming ballistic missiles outside the atmosphere. That is for the purpose of exo-atmosphere. So it is a category of anti-ballistic missile. And Nag, it is the third generation anti-tank missile. It is the third generation anti-tank missile, and it is fire and forget guided missile. That means it's lock on before the launch system, where the target is identified and designated before the weapon is launched. So it is a anti-tank fire and forget type of the missile. And the Prahar, on the other hand, it is a high level of missile. It is primarily a battlefield support system for the army. The Prahar is majorly developed to give the benefits to the army. So these are the some of the important missiles and its features. So whatever I have mentioned on this slide, please go through this one. All these are very important in the exam point of view. And what are the other? The BrahMos. The BrahMos missile, as I have earlier also discussed, it is a supersonic cruise missile. Very important. It is supersonic cruise missile and developed as a joint venture between India and the Russia. Very important. The BrahMos was developed by collaboration of India and the Russia, and it is the fastest supersonic cruise missile in the world itself. The BrahMos is very important in the exam point of view. So it is a supersonic cruise missile which is fastest in the world, and it is the world's fastest anti-ship cruise missile in operation. So that's why it is very important for the exam. So know about the BrahMos in a headline format, that is it's a supersonic cruise missile and it was developed with the collaboration of India and Russia, and it is the fastest supersonic cruise missile in the world itself. And Nirbhay, on the other hand, it is a subsonic missile, as we have seen earlier slide also. Nirbhay is a subsonic missile which is actually provide the necessary support to the BrahMos range. So it is the subsonic missile category. The Sagarika, on the other hand, it forms the crucial third leg of India's nuclear weapons, and it is a submarine launched ballistic missile. It was subsequently integrated with the India's nuclear-powered Arihant class submarine. So this is the Sagarika category. And the Dhanush, on the other hand, it is capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Dhanush is capable of carrying the nuclear warheads. It carries forward the legacy of K-15, that is the Sagarika. So the Sagarika legacy gets continued by the Dhanush because it is also have the capability of carrying the nuclear warheads just like the Sagarika. And the Shaurya, on the other hand, it is a surface to air ballistic missile category, and it is one of the variant of the Sagarika K-15, and the nuclear capability of this missile enhances India's second strike capability, and it reduced the dependency on the K-15, which was built with the Russian assistance. So the Shaurya we are developing completely with the Indian self-dependency. So we want to reduce the Sagarika dependency because we have the Russia partnership under that. That means the Sagarika is basically for the India's nuclear warhead carrying, and it was actually provided with the help of Dhanush. But later the Shaurya, which is a surface to surface ballistic missile, which is one of the variant of this Sagarika, is enhances the India's second strike capability, because the dependency on the Sagarika gets reduces once this Shaurya missile was built. So these are some of the important missiles developed by the DRDO in a competitive exam point of view. This is for the day. Thank you so much. We have learnt in this video the difference between the ballistic and the cruise missiles, and what is the specifications of ballistic missile, what are the specification of cruise missiles, and the important missiles in our Indian missiles category in the exam point of view. So we try to help you to know little bit about the Indian missiles to score high in your science and technology paper. So we hope you like the video. Thank you so much. Do like our channel, comment and share, and subscribe our channel for the regular notifications. Have a great day.